Good morning. Hey, it is 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, and some other time on those other places. So, good morning. Hey, I'm Paul Moore with BiggerPockets, and I'm so excited to be here with you this morning. Or if you're watching a recording of this, so happy to I guess you get to see me. I don't get to see you, but hey, I'd love to ask, can you hear me? So let me know if you can hear me. And just tell me where you're from. Give me your name. Tell me where you're from. Want to remind you that if you're on Facebook, I can only see a limited number of comments. And if you are on YouTube, I will be able to see all your comments at some point. If you're on BiggerPockets Live, I'll be able to see most of you. Hey, Nick from Austin, welcome. Hey, Juan, thank you for your question. We're going to try to get to that. Whitney Sewell, hey, everybody. You guys, a lot of folks in the real estate community have been raising money for, and hoping and praying for the Sewell family. They got a new baby. Congratulations, Mr. Sewell. So excited to have you on here today. Whitney, I'm going to ask you if you can help us answer a few questions here today. Hey, Jesse from Iowa, William from Lincoln. Hey, Jordan, good morning. Tony, hey, Tony. Hey, Juan. All right, so before we get going, I just want to make sure you can hear me. And please give us a thumbs up. That tells Facebook and YouTube that we are relevant. You know, some people have said, Mr. Moore, maybe you're not relevant anymore. I just wanted to prove to the world that BiggerPockets at least is relevant and liked and shared and all that stuff. So give us a like, give us a share, give us a thumbs up. Today it's going to be Ask Me Anything Real Estate. And so excited to have all of you on here. Good morning, Rada from, hey, Joel from New York. Hey, Raul, loud and clear. Brandon, you. Good morning. Hey, Christy from Vegas. I'm going to be in Vegas in about a month for the Mobile Home Park University. Alan Sharp from South Carolina. So glad you're here. Okay, great. So, yes, congratulations, Mr. Sewell. So before we get going, I want to do 10 reasons not to invest in real estate. You might have thought this was Ask Me Anything Live Real Estate, and it is. But first, we're going to talk about 10 reasons not to invest in real estate. We've done this before, but this is 10 new reasons not to invest in real estate. Number one, your life savings is also your emergency fund. You need immediate access to every cent of it at every given moment. Number two reason not to invest in real estate, you prefer buying gold because you plan to be a pirate someday. Arr. Number three, you'd rather spend your money on a fancy car that will be worth more in 10 years than it is today. Oh, wait. Real estate investing has too much jargon, and you'd rather die than have to learn any new terminology. That's number four. Number five reason not to invest in real estate. What's leverage again? Number six reason not to buy real estate is you're too busy mining cryptocurrency. Number seven reason you want your paycheck to be the only income you generate. What? Number eight reason not to invest in real estate. You like seeing the red and green arrows on stock tickers. Number nine, you don't believe in diversification. And number 10 reason not to invest in real estate, you don't want anything to do with cash flow. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm here all week. No, I'm here for the next 45 minutes at least. So, hey, good morning, Nate Shields from Chicago. No, he's not from Chicago. He's from Madison, Wisconsin. He moved. So if you guys need a realtor in Madison, Wisconsin, this is the man right here, Dude Real Estate. Hey, Alana from Topsail Island. I went on vacation there. Hey, Paul from Michigan. I used to live there. And Whitney, so glad to have you on here as well. So, I hate investing in real estate. Jordan Lindsay, we're going to try to convert you, man, to loving real estate before we're done this morning. So I got an early question this morning from Juan Jaramillo. I got that. I'm at a crossroads, and I would like to hear how some of the BiggerPockets veterans would proceed in their logic behind their approach. Juan says, I purchased a $275,000 primary home, and I only put $60,000 down, which was 20% down. Good job, man. Thumbs up. And 20% down, and my monthly payment is about $300 to $600 less than the average rentals in the area. Okay, so your payment's real low. That's great. My dilemma is, should I do a cash out refi or rent it out and get $1,000 a month in cash flow? The home is now worth $310,000 to $320,000, not $275,000 you paid for it. And I can cash out $30,000 and buy a new primary home and rent my existing home and cash flow my one property. Or do I do nothing and continue just banking this $1,000 a month? Do I have too much skin in the game? Okay. One, I hate to wimp out on you here, but I'm going to do two things. Number one, I'm going to, for everybody who just listened to that, I'm going to ask you to tell us what you think. I'd love to hear from you folks on YouTube, Facebook, and on BiggerPockets Live. What do you think Juan should do? And Juan, if you could also weigh in and just add one thing and say, can you tell us what your goal is? Is your goal to build a rental portfolio? What do you think? So, Nate, thank you for answering Brandon. Jay Green, we're going to get right back to you, Juan, I promise. Jay Greenspan says, I've got a property worth $300,000, should be getting more than $1,000 a month. Jay Greenspan, I think he said he's netting $1,000 a month. He's netting $1,000 free and clear, which to me, that makes pretty good sense. Christy says, I'd love to meet you in Las Vegas, have a coffee chat. Yes, I'll be there the 6th through the 8th. So if you want to come over, I'm going to be at a mobile home park university. Paul says, cash out refi, dump the money into a BRRRR, recycle the money. Thank you. Paul, great. I think that's great, and that's probably what I would say as well. Jesse says, I would refinance. Nick says, I would refinance and start increasing your portfolio. Rashawn, what's the best way to get started, multifamily or single family? Rashawn Turner from Alexandria, Louisiana, asked that, and I'm going to say lease option sandwich, rent to own sandwich, or do some Airbnb arbitrage. And if anybody wants to know what those are, if even one or two people ask me, I will try to answer that. Chris says, cash out, refi, and invest that $30,000 to $60,000 into a new investment that keep the portfolio growing. I would say my answer is going to be yes, I agree with all of you. Braden, I'll try to get to your question. I agree with all of you. I think I would probably cash out, refi more. So I don't think I would just take $30,000 to $60,000 out, though that's a conservative approach. And I'm guessing if Warren Buffett was here today, he'd probably say something like that. But I would think that you would want to consider the possibility of, I wouldn't go right up to the limit. Now, especially if you're in Florida, Nevada, Arizona, or California, where prices fluctuate wildly from ups and downs. But if you're in a fairly stable market, I might go up to 50% loan to value, maybe 60. Take that cash and buy one or two more rentals. By the way, I am a definite non-fan of buying in C or D areas. So I don't like it. So, Juan, cash flow portfolio to have income for retirement. You're in Orlando. Okay, now Juan, you're in a dangerous spot. Now Orlando's growing like crazy. Everybody knows that. It's going to continue to grow. We all know that. But nevertheless, Orlando, just like everywhere else in Florida that I know of, had a huge hit 11 years ago when the downturn. And so just be careful that you don't over leverage. That's all my advice on that. Nick says, do you have more information on the mobile home class you are attending? Yes. Nick, if you reach out to me on BiggerPockets, my profile, I can tell you more about that. I might be able to get you a discount, possibly even a deep discount to go with me. Mark says, what are your thoughts on getting into retail real estate instead of multifamily in terms of growing your portfolio? Mark, I think it's really risky. I mean, retail, I just read an article of thousands and thousands and thousands of retailers shutting down this year. And I would just be really careful on that, Mark. Multifamily is overheated. I wrote a book on multifamily called The Perfect Investment, but I'm not investing in multifamily myself right now. I'm mainly investing in self-storage and mobile home parks. Kareem, by the way, sorry, folks, I can't do these in order. It's just too hard. I'm watching 3 screens here, so I'm doing my best. Raul says, what is a C and D area? What if they're being redeveloped? Yeah, it's still somewhat risky because sometimes sometimes the areas that are being developed or redeveloped aren't being redeveloped or developed as fast as you think, and you could get stuck. If it's an area that's clearly over the top and it's definitely being redeveloped, I mean, if it's in a safely redeveloped area, that's fine. Thanks, Nate. Antonio, okay. Arthur says, how do you get ARV, after repair value, of a 4,700 square foot house overbuilt for neighborhood with no comps? Asking $70,000 for a house because it needs at least $80,000 in repairs. You get a broker, you get 2 or 3 real estate agents who you might legitimately use. You get them through there and you try to get a broker price opinion. That's the fastest answer I have for that. Someone asked me what a lease option is. Okay, Braden, sorry. A lease option is when you own the house or you rent the house. That's a sandwich, by the way. And then you rent to own it to somebody else. So you get you get somebody in. They give you let's say a $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 down payment, and then you rent the house to them. They rent it for let's say 3 or 4 years till they get their credit score up, and then they buy it at a predetermined price. The lease option sandwich is when you don't actually own the house. You rent it from somebody, typically somebody in trouble, pre-foreclosure. You get it out of pre-foreclosure, you pay it off. I've done this before. You pay off the back payments like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 as an example. You get a deposit of, let's say, $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 from the other person, then you rent own it to somebody else. So your payment on the mortgage, taxes, and insurance, and you make that payment directly, by the way, is let's say $800 a month. And then you charge, let's say $1,200 a month, you pocket the $400 a month difference. That's the quick answer on what a lease option sandwich is. Jessica says, good morning, what are your thoughts on mobile home parks that have RV spots? RVs are a little more risky. I've had friends do RV parks, and I think they're a little more risky. So I don't have a direct answer for that, but I think it's always a benefit if it cash. Look, I'd say this: if it works as a mobile home park without the RV spots, then RV spots might just be a bonus. Okay, I'd say that. I don't think it's going to be a great addition to the cash flow in general. Paul says, "What's your opinion on when one should quit their day job to start in real estate full time?" Nate, what do you think about that? Whitney, what do you think about that? I guess when your cash flow more than replaces your day job, and I say more than because you could have vacancy, you could have issues that come up that cut into your cash flow unexpectedly. So I'd have, like Buffett says, I'd build in a 20 to 40% margin of safety. So if you need $10,000 a month from your day job, I would wait till you were cash flowing $14,000 a month from real estate to quit your day job. That's not a great answer. Sorry, folks. Anybody else? Jose says, started my first real job in February, $60,000. How much job history do lenders want to see? Is there a way around it? Yeah, Jose, you can go for private money, or you can try to find a local community bank or credit union who have more lax rules. That's my advice on that. Tanner says, what are the best value adds when evaluating the purchase of a small family-run self-storage facility? Oh man, you're speaking my language. I just wrote a book on self-storage, and I just reread the value add chapter. Tanner, we could talk about this the rest of the next 30 minutes, but basically add U-Haul or Penske, truck leasing, unless there's one right down the street, add a showroom with locks, boxes, tape, and scissors. Add a climate control building if you've got room. If you don't have room or there's not demand for that, add some high-priced parking with electrical outlets for people to plug in their boats or especially their RVs to keep them, winterized or whatever. Other ones would include charging late fees, charging admin fees, raising the rents to market rate, doing those electronic locks so you can not be on site all the time. Tanner, if you want to get hold of me, I can give you an advanced copy of my book, or at least that chapter on value adds. So, all right. So for anybody who doesn't know, I'm Paul Moore, and I am here on BiggerPockets. By the way, if you haven't signed up for our first annual BiggerPockets National Conference, it's going to be in Nashville, October 6th through 8th. We would love to see you the evening of October 6th and the 7th, the 8th. This is going to be a major epic event, and it could be an opportunity for you to set your real estate career on a new, more exciting path than ever. So please sign up, get your tickets. We expect it to sell out within about a week or two from now. It might already be almost sold out now. There was hundreds of tickets sold immediately when it came out. You're going to get Brandon Turner and Mindy Jensen and David Green and Matt Faircloth, my amazing friend from New Jersey, and so many other great speakers. I'll be speaking there as well, so I'd love to see you there. Jesse says, my goal, I am working at 3 times my day job. Gotcha. That's awesome. Tanner, what are the best value? Okay, you already asked that, Paul. You already answered that, Paul. I'm talking to myself. Raymond says, I have $20,000 to start. How should I invest it? Raymond, tell me more about your goals, and I'll do my best to answer your question. But I would say, go out and get a couple rent-to-own sandwiches if possible, or use the $20,000 down payment on maybe a duplex if you can find one. They're so hard to find right now. By the way, one way to find houses or duplexes right now is call the ads on Craigslist, call the other ads that are out there, and just say, hey, I see you have an out-of-state phone number or even in-town phone number. Would you like to sell rather than just rent your apartment? That's what I would do. Alex says, I'm a full-time flipper in LA. I want to start adding to my rental portfolio. Should I invest my profits locally or look in other markets? Alex, I've got a lot of friends in Pasadena and LA, and they're saying that they need to invest out of state in other markets right now, or at least in a couple hours to your east. I wouldn't think that there's going to be a lot of great deals in LA. If you find one, man, you're doing better than most. Paul says, how do you factor what your available credit might be? Paul, I'm not sure how to answer that. Can you clarify the question? Kivang says, what do you think about renting out your single-family home rooms to college students? It's a great idea. If you're willing to put up with the hassle, I'm actually renting a home in my house this year to a college student. So Michael Oliver says, good morning, starting in the real estate game, early 24 years old and need help with acquiring multifamily rentals and questions. There's a book called, so Brandon Turner has a great book on just real estate in general. He's got a couple great books. And then there's a book by Steve Burgess, Berges, The Complete Guide to Buying and Selling Apartment Buildings. And then I've got a book called The Perfect Investment. Those are some great places to start. There's literally over a dozen great podcasts as well on multifamily investing. And right now it's super hard to find good deals. Okay, I'm going to switch over to YouTube here. Mark says, I have $20,000 saved in good credit. I'm in Sacramento. Where to invest? Mark, you might want to consider doing Airbnb arbitrage. I have a friend. Oh, shoot. Yeah, he's already got the Sacramento market pretty locked up on that. So I don't know. Let's see. Consider doing a rent-to-own sandwich. Consider trying to find a property to put a down payment. At worst, at the least, you could do. You could invest passively in a deal on like a crowdfunding site. Check out a really good deal. Someone asked me earlier, what are the tax benefits of real estate? There are so many. And you can go back and find a tax show I did in the past here on BiggerPockets, or you can contact me and get a copy of a webinar I did on April 15th on tax day. There are so many tax benefits to real estate. It's probably second only to oil and gas, but so much less risky. Ben says, I have a credit score of 700, been working at Monterey Boats for about a year. I'm looking to buy land with manufactured house on it and rent it out. What else do I need to get a mortgage? Ben, if that's a mobile home, I'm going to tell you, I've done that exact thing 3 or 4 times, and it really ended poorly every time. If it's a modular home, like a more permanent home, and you can get a better quality tenant, it might work out fine. I don't want to burst your bubble, but I would tell you that most everybody I talked to, including yesterday, I interviewed the guy who was on BiggerPockets recently, the mobile home king, mobile home park king, and he said he would never rent out an individual mobile home if he could help it. Sarah says, I'm a realtor. I purchased a new home and considering renting my current home. I owe very little. It's worth $650. Should I pull out my equity and refinance? I would say likely. I need some of my equity for my new home. Sarah, yeah, I would say it's likely you'll probably make more money pulling it out and buying several smaller homes. Juan says, I own a 14-unit apartment. One of the things that attracted me to is the rents were significantly under market, but it's still cash flowed. Should I go up at once to market rents or break it up, and should I waive the increase on long-term tenants? I would not waive the increase on long-term tenants. What I would do, Juan, is I would maybe go up incrementally. I wouldn't go right up to market rent immediately. You might have a real backlash, especially because apartment tenants talk to each other a lot, and you could have some trouble with that. Kai Zhang says, do you think we're close to the top of the market? It's possible, Kai. It's possible. Even Warren Buffett won't predict that. And so I just don't know. It's possible we're in kind of a new normal where the market's going to continue to go up and down, but around a new normal, higher number. Someone just asked me a question on Facebook from Seattle, and I missed it, and it's gone off my screen now, and I'm so sorry. Jose says, I'm new to Denver. I'd like to buy property, but I don't know the price history to buy wedge deals here. Do you recommend I use an agent or get my own license to do research? Jose, I wouldn't get my license just to do research. I would use an agent. Use one that is aggressive and is willing to work with you and, offer them an opportunity to make some money from it as well if you buy a deal. Hey, Ray. Dennis Holder says, what's the quickest way to learn wholesale and get paid quickly? Get a mentor, Dennis. That's what I would recommend. That's my best advice. Okay, folks, you guys are full of questions today, and I'm so grateful. And I don't think I'm going to get to more than half of them. The Tartesos, hey, you were on here before. Would you insure your rental properties on replacement or actual cash value? Well, if you're going to insure it, you might want to consider getting a little higher deductible and going up to the replacement value. You wouldn't want to be stuck with, not being able to replace it. Tony says, would you consider taking over a property management company with 55 properties as a good idea? A good idea. And is it real estate investing? The owner is a friend ready to retire and wants to sell it for $60,000 in Florida. Tony, gosh, what a great question. What do you think, Nate? I don't really know. There's a lot of issues involved there. You might want to make sure it's profitable, make sure you can add some value, make sure you can add some systems to make it better. See if it's something you want to do, that's a question. One benefit is that you can maybe have an inside track on buying some of these properties when the owners go to sell because you're already got an inside track with them. There's so many issues involved there. Is that real estate investing? Not really. It's more of a service provider to real estate investing. David Matthews says, what to use whole life insurance for real estate? Yes, a lot of people are really getting into using whole life insurance, cash value for real estate, becoming your own bank. There's a book called Be Your Own Bank, I think. Hopefully that's helpful. The Tartesos is answering Tony. Thank you. Jay Greenspan says, I would go with an agent. I found an aggressive real estate agent and ended up getting not only a great deal on the house itself, but also got $150 to $200 more per rent per month. Nice. Usman says, where do we find foreclosures? Online auctions? Where else? Local newspapers. What I do is I actually used to subscribe to the local newspaper, and I would put certain keywords in, and I would get a daily email with all the foreclosures coming up, and then I would drive to those, check them out, put them on my spreadsheet, etc. Of course, you can use a paper copy of the newspaper like my good friend Jack, who still buys the newspaper every day. Ben says, live in California, own a single-family rental in Alabama. I own it with a tax deed. Best way to find a private lender for needed repairs. Ben, you stumped me. I don't have an answer on that. I'm not sure. I would join a local real estate meetup, maybe go on BiggerPockets and advertise. Those are the best answers I have for you. Mahmoud Kareem says, people say it's a seller's market for buying a house right now. That's for sure. What's your advice to buy or not buy in this market? Mahmoud, if you can find a great deal, sure. It's something that slipped through the cracks, something that's like an aunt or uncle or down the street. But if you're buying it at market price, it's very risky right now. But folks, I want to be clear. I've been saying that for 5 years, and I've been wrong a lot. prices have went up and up and up while I've been sitting on the sidelines a lot. And so I don't know if I'm right. So I could be wrong. Me, H, and Dennis both says, where do I find a mentor? There are lots of mentors in the world of multifamily. We've got people like Joe Fairless, who charges $30,000 or $40,000, but they say he's worth it. We've got folks like Michael Blank, B-L-A-N-K. I just spent a few days with him in Dallas. We've got folks like Neil Bawa. We've got, if you want multifamily, there's a program with 37th Parallel. By the way, if you go to them, tell them I sent you. Those are my friends, and I actually mentored under them. It was $25,000. Yes, those are some. I do some mentoring myself. I do a limited amount of mentoring. Nate Shields, if you're in the Madison, Wisconsin or northern Chicago area, you might want to check with Nate. That's Dude Real Estate on here. Those are some things to check out. I'm switching over to BiggerPockets screen now. Eric says, if I cannot get my general contractor to provide a proper legal contract, should I compose one myself? If not, should I find a template? You might be able to find a template, Eric, on BiggerPockets if you're a BiggerPockets Pro member. By the way, folks, if you're not a BiggerPockets Pro member, I'll tell you, at least for me, it's one of the very best, if not the best decision I ever made in my business career and my real estate career. So become a BiggerPockets Pro member. I don't guarantee that you'll get the contract you want there. Go check, find some online, run it by an attorney. I do a podcast called How to Lose Money. And I did a show this week with a famous real estate investor who told us how he lost a lot of money by not having proper contracts. Don't leave home without it, folks. Make sure you get that done, Eric, and anybody else who is watching. So, you can find templates online. I would run it by an attorney, though. Can you get a mentor through BiggerPockets, Dennis? Yeah, I mean, check in with me. I can give you some mentor ideas. And I do a Wednesday at noon phone call, which is sort of a kind of a free little mentoring call. You can get hold of me if you want to learn more about that. Jose says, how should I qualify a realtor to find wedge deals? I don't know what a wedge deal is. Jose, I'm sorry. That's why I skipped your question earlier, probably. Can you explain what a wedge deal is? I don't know. W. Brian Wu says, hi, Paul. How do I determine the cap rate for the local market? Go to a real estate investors meetup. Ask around. The cap rate is the value of the property. It's the return, the net operating income, divided by the price of the property. So if the net operating income is $100,000 and the price of the property is $2 million, 100,000 divided by 2 million, that's 5% cap rate. And so there's a lot of information online how to determine that. If you're in a major city, you can actually go online and find statistics for the going cap rates for your market. Why don't you tell me what market you're in, W. Brian, and I'll try to give you an idea of what I think. Well, that's taking a risk, isn't it? Kareem says, is the tiny home craze lucrative enough to invest in? It sounds like it's either cutting edge or a potential phase that's going to run its course soon. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. It sounds speculative to me. Jason says, have you ever got into self-storage? Man, self-storage is my favorite investment right now. We just invested about $5 or $7 million with my team into self-storage. I love it, and I'm writing a book on self-storage right now. I'm hoping my friends at BiggerPockets are going to publish that book, but if they don't, either way, I'm going to be publishing it soon. Jose says, how can I qualify to find a realtor to find discounted deals on property? If the realtor has skill to find it, wouldn't they buy them themselves? No, Jose, they don't always buy it themselves. Often they don't. So try to find a realtor who loves working with investors. Jay Greenspan, how do you get into self-storage? You can find deals yourself on LoopNet or on some of the self-storage broker sites. Find a Marcus and Millichap or another broker. If you don't have the money and the time and the desire to get in yourself, you can invest passively. There are deals in self-storage. My company does this. We invest passively with a bunch of our friends who are investors also. There are deals on crowdfunding sites you can find. You can go in with a few friends and buy one. There's all kinds of ways to get in. I have 7 different ways to get into self-storage. You can be a deal finder. You can be a capital raiser. If you have a lot of money, you can, like I said, passively invest or provide the down payment or the earnest money deposit. There's all kinds of ways to get in. Randy says, how do you structure an initial agreement for a financier that wants equity in properties? Good. One would find a managed rehab property and the other would provide funds. How do you do this fair and beneficial for both properties? Randy, great question. I did that for years. We had a verbal agreement. Don't do that. Now, I never had a problem because I had a lifelong friend. The guy was in my wedding. And so he used to date my wife, after all, in high school before we met. But anyway, yeah, we were very close friends, and we never had anything in writing. But I would recommend getting something in writing, even if you know them fairly well. How do you structure the agreement? I don't know, Randy. We always did 50-50, and then whatever time we valued our time at $20 an hour, and we valued our cash at, I think it was an 8 or 10% interest rate. So if you put in cash, let's say you put in $100,000 and it goes 6 months, you would just accrue an 8% interest rate. You would count that towards your side. Let's say the person doing the rehab puts in 100 hours. They count their time at, let's say, $20 an hour. They get a $2,000 credit for theirs. You get your interest credit, and then you divide the profit 50-50. That's how we structured our deals. Hope that made sense. So we basically had phantom money and phantom dollars come out off the top, and then we split the profit that was left. Jason says, I'd like to get your self-storage book. Thank you. I would love to get it published. Let me tell you, I have it finished. I'm just waiting to get it approved for publishing. Duplex or commercial building with current tenant, thoughts, please, Nancy says. Can you clarify your question a little more, Nancy Nodland? Creating an LLC for rentals be good. Michael, Matt Faircloth wrote an article in July about whether or not you need an LLC. I can't do any better than his answer from that article. It was actually a very, very popular article. It should be easy to find. Matt Faircloth, BiggerPockets. Dominique says, any suggestions on how to best receive and structure receiving a substantial referral fee on real estate development deals? Especially to save taxes or to be wise and strategic overall. Dominique, if you have a real estate license, you've got to run it through your broker. If you don't, you could be like getting into a borderline legal issue. So I would check with a local real estate attorney. You might be able to get a free answer, especially if you go to your real estate attorney that is contracted with your local association of realtors. I don't have a good answer on that. Just be careful. Thanks, Albert. You can get hold of me. Metal Bum says at BiggerPockets, can you buy a house and do a wraparound loan on a reverse mortgage for sale by owner house? I want to flip house within 6 months and either not take title or take title and still take their loan. Yeah, I think you can do that. That would be similar to a rent lease option sandwich or a rent to own sandwich. But I'm not sure about how the reverse part fits in. That's kind of weird. Khalid says so many options to look at: house, rental properties, multifamily, wholesale flipping. What's your thought for newcomers to real estate world? I would actually go out and spend dozens of hours driving around, C+, B-, even B neighborhoods and try to find vacant houses or vacant duplexes and invest. Try to find deals that way. That would be a good way to get a start. Another way to get a start would be, again, to do a rent-to-own sandwich. Another is an Airbnb arbitrage. I just got an email from some guys who said they're making like $17,000 a month, I think they said, or $7,000 a month, whatever it was a lot, based on my comment on this show back in the spring. And they actually took my advice and they went out and started doing Airbnb arbitrage. Now, if you don't know how to do Airbnb arbitrage, it's where you rent an apartment, a duplex, or a house, and then you set it up on Airbnb. Then you rent it out to corporate tenants or to Airbnb clients, or both. And if you don't know how to do that, I have a friend named Al, and Al has a great mentoring program teaching people to do that. It's a great way to get involved for minimal money out of pocket and get started without a long-term commitment to a big loan and all that. So I'd highly recommend rent-to-own sandwiches or Airbnb or corporate rental arbitrage. Jose says, for properties that are $300,000 to $500,000 in Denver, is $200 to $300 a month cash flow too small compared to the leverage you're obtaining in buying it? Denver's had some ups and downs, Jose. I was there when they took a huge dive in 1985, and they've had other dives. I think in 2000 they took a big dive as well. I'd say I wouldn't want to make $200 to $300 a month. That seems like a too slim margin for a $300,000 to $500,000 property. I'm sorry, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't. It just seems a little risky. Jessica says, can you define C and D properties? These would be like lower, like the, cheaper, bad part of town. D property might even be in like a ghetto or a war zone or not a nice area where there's a lot of drug or gang activity. C properties are kind of in the middle between, they're just kind of places you wouldn't want your sister or your mom or maybe you to go in the dark. And it's hard to get a property manager to go there, by the way. So Khalid says, is there a link to your friend Al's Airbnb mentoring? You can get hold of me, Khalid. Again, I'm Paul Moore, and I've got a profile here on BiggerPockets, and I have to look up that link. I don't have it handy. Chris says, for your first deal, would you partner on a deal like this? Purchase price $20,000. What? Repair cost $15,000. After repair value $60,000. 50-50 equity partner. That's $35,000 in it, and it's worth $60,000 when you're done. Okay, that sounds like a good percentage profit, but in dollars, it's not a huge profit. You got to make really sure that you're going to come in at your repair cost of $15,000. Chris, I would do it if you really want the experience. I mean, you're going to make what, $7,500 each. Did I do my math right? Or maybe it's more. Yeah, you might make $10,000 or $12,000 each. After holding costs and real estate commissions, you might make less. Chris, it's marginal, but you could, especially if you're younger and you want the experience and you're willing to, make only $5,000. Rama says, what's your opinion on building storage units versus buying mom and pops? Rama, use Radius Plus. It's a website. Radius Plus will help you figure out if it's a good location to either buy at all or to build from the ground up. I would try to buy a mom and pop first. There's usually less risk and it's already cash flowing from day one. Building, you're going to be 3 to 4 years into it or more before you even get a penny. And so it's a little nerve-wracking. Raul says, Al, who? I've got a friend named Al in Sacramento, and I don't have his information, but you can contact me through BiggerPockets, and I can try to answer that. CJ Hart says, would you rather invest in notes or self-storage? I personally invest in self-storage because it has massive tax benefits that commercial real estate has, more than notes. Now, notes have more stability and more predictability of outcomes. So if you want an 8 or 10 or 12% return and you don't care about the taxes, go with notes. And I've got friends at PPR Note Company, people like Dave Van Horn, who do an amazing job with notes. Self-storage has tax benefits, just like all kinds of other commercial real estate. Okay, folks. We're coming to the end of our time together, so I don't think I'll be able to answer any new questions that come on. I'm going to try to do my best to answer the questions that are already on the board. Sean says, how many properties would you own in one LLC? You might want to reach out to Matt Faircloth on that or read his article. I would say 2 or 3 at most is my guess. Metal Bump says, how do you collect from a judgment of an old tenant who still owes $20,000 in rents? Do you have recommendations? I mean, take him to court, get the best lawyer you can that will work for, on contingency. Man, I'm so sorry to hear that. I've had a very similar situation myself. Edwin says, I'm 23. I'm in the middle of buying my first house. I wanted to get into commercial next, but how do you get in with so little equity and cash in hand? I've done a show on here called 7 Paths to Real Estate Success. If you can find that show, or you can buy my BiggerPockets, my self-storage book that's going to come out later. I've also done other places. I've written BiggerPockets blog posts about different paths to get involved in commercial real estate, including raising money, being a deal finder, being an asset manager, passively investing, actively investing. Paul says 5 houses and 2 commercial properties and 1 LLC is bad. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I think you should read Matt Faircloth's article. I am not an expert in that area, if you haven't noticed. So I'm not really sure. Some people say it's 1 house per LLC, and I just don't think that that's necessary. So Nancy says, how many avenues to make money in real estate? So many. Considering offering loaning funds to real estate investors, where do I get more information to go this route? Go to your local real estate meetup or check on BiggerPockets. I would try that. That's not a very good answer. You can also, just look around on the internet, but I'd go to your local real estate meetup and try to find somebody who's done that. Nancy says, how about these new concept RV casita storage units? Riverbound starts at $95K. Would you do it? Nancy, I don't know about that new concept, and I'm writing a book on self-storage, so maybe it's something I need to know about. Duplex or commercial building with current tenant. Okay, I'm not sure about that. Okay, what do you all think? How many properties should go in 1 LLC? I'd love to hear. Hey, before we wrap up, if you've enjoyed this show, and if you're not too mad at me for not getting to your question, please give us a thumbs up, a like, or share this. This recording will be out on the internet, and BiggerPockets would love to see you share it. Edwin says, already answered that. Paul says, do you invest in D properties? Absolutely not. Some people do, and you can make money doing it, but they usually have so much hassle that they pull their hair out and they end up selling it for even less than they should, and just to get out. Paul, so I wouldn't invest in a D area. Some people do. You better become an expert in it if you do and really focus on it. Richie Ricardo says, is long-distance real estate investing recommended for the beginner? What are some points? I would definitely go see it in person, even if it's long distance. I'd fly there. I'd get to know the neighborhood. I would do a 1 mile, 3 mile, and 5 mile drive of every major road in that area. I would ask questions. I would get scuttlebutt. I would do everything you can to learn everything you can if you're going to do it that way. And the most important thing to remember is this. It's better to do a bad deal with a great operator than do a great deal with a bad operator, okay? So you need to really know who you're partnering with and make sure that you're doing it right. This is what my company does. We spend a lot of time thinking and talking and doing due diligence on operators. So Maria says, mobile homes, what do you think? Maria, yes. I'm going to the Mobile Home Park University, I think it's called that, in Las Vegas in September. I think it's the 5th through the 8th. And I'm a big believer. We're investing heavily in mobile home parks. Oh, but not mobile homes. I would not invest in mobile homes. Everybody I've talked to, without fail, has says don't buy mobile homes and rent them out. Invest in mobile home parks. Paul says, before you start shopping and go to the bank for financing based on your assets, can you factor a general available line of credit or loan that the bank might issue? No, but Paul, I would say go to smaller banks, go to local banks, go to credit unions. They might be willing to give you more. My son just borrowed like $400,000 and he didn't even have a credit score. Now he did have a cosigner. You're looking at him, but he's in his early 20s. Now he's in his mid 20s and he's doing great in real estate investing. He found a local bank that was way more flexible than a big national bank using Freddie or Fannie guidelines. Tony says HC reviews if you don't own a house. Okay, sorry, I missed that one. Kareem says, can a multi-business building be a good investment? I've seen a nice multi-8 unit, and I'd like to turn the bottom 4 into office space. Yeah, Kareem, that can be great, especially if it's in an up-and-coming area. I have a friend in Sacramento who's done that, and it really can be good. Eric Cameron says, is there a general rule for price per pad to make it profitable? Eric, I don't have an answer on that, but you're going to want to make sure the current cash flow from the current rented pads makes it work for you. Don't speculate on filling these empty pads in a mobile home park. You've got to make sure it cash flows from day one. Nancy, thank you so much for your kind words. Zeus says, if you wanted to offer a seller finance deal on a sixplex, what would be a good setup for the seller to be inclined to move forward? Meet them in person, sell them on you would be the first thing I would do. So, as far as the setup, I just want to give them, give them every possible reason to believe that you're going to follow through and that you're going to be a good buyer. You're going to be a good investor for them. SWG Biz, tell me anything about tax overage investment. Are they real? How come they are not that popular? Man, I've been stumped again. What's that, the third time today? I don't know what that is. Tax overage investment. If somebody can answer that, I would be so happy because I don't know. Greenland Music says, contractor look to get started in BRRR investing. The only deals I've been coming across have been in C and D areas. I have 20,000 capital plus 10,000 HELOC and lots of sweat equity. Any advice? Almost everybody that's been around a while, like me, Brandon Turner, others, would say, go up, get a smaller property in a B area, pay more, get out of the C and D areas. C is not terrible. I would never go to D. Trust me, it's a good way to get bumped out of real estate investing quickly. Howard says, what are your thoughts on investing and renting townhomes in North Dallas versus single family homes? Howard, I don't have an answer on that. It's just got to cash flow. It's just got to make sense. It's got to make sense for you. Got to make sense. I would say single family homes historically have done better in downturns than townhomes and condos, but don't let that sway you. You just got to make, get a deal that makes sense. Paul says, oh, you asked me that before and I didn't answer it well then either. Jordan says, what do you think about becoming a signing agent to do signed mortgages? I live in Denver, so there's a lot of volume. Wow, I'm stumped for a fourth time. I don't know what that is. So, man, you guys are really, really asking good questions today. Great job. We buy Florida houses. What is the best source you can recommend to learn about the process of raising capital from those willing to use their 401k? Buy Matt Faircloth's book, Raising Private Capital, I think. Buy Matt Faircloth's book. I've got the book right here. I got it pulled up on my screen, actually. And it's by Matt Faircloth, Raising Private Capital, Building Your Real Estate Empire Using Other People's Money by Matt Faircloth, forward by Joe Fairless, published in 2018 by BiggerPockets Publishing. That is where I would go for sure. Eco says, is there a way to determine if it's an A, B, or C property without actually visiting the location? Yeah, you can do Google Earth. You can do demographics. You can look at the average income in the area. You can look at you can use BiggerPockets Pro. If you're a BiggerPockets Pro member, you can get a discount on Neighborhood Scout. NeighborhoodScout.com will give you some great information on the location, but you're really going to want to eventually visit. Check out Google Earth. Fly in on Google Earth. Become the little yellow man on the street. Walk around, drive around, all that, and check out the area. We've done that many, 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 many times, and it can really work. Brent says, okay, Albert says, no, it's not Mark Faircloth. I'm sorry, it's Matt, M-A-T-T. Matt Faircloth. He's one of my favorite presenters here on BiggerPockets. If you haven't seen his show, make sure you check it out. Peter says, can I hypothetically talking buy a property, live in it for 2 years, sell it without paying capital gains? Can I do that every 2 years or only once every 5 years? Peter, you're going to want to check with a tax professional because I've heard that different states have different rules on that. I know it's overall a federal question you're asking. I think Peter, you're going to need to check with a tax professional. I really don't like to give tax advice, especially when I'm just not 100% sure. We're getting ready to wrap up, folks, but Juan says, one last question. Would you buy now at the top of the market of your budget, at the top of your budget in a fast-growing area, or risk not buying in an area where you may not be able to afford later? Primary home now or priced out later? Juan, why don't you check out my Wednesday show? We have to really spend some more time talking through that. I don't think I can answer that quickly without knowing a lot more information. So thanks, Maria. Appreciate that. Non-QM loans is what I do in 48 states. No tax returns. Okay, cool. So there's a mortgage opportunity for you folks. Harold Watkins says, what would you recommend as the max cash out refinancing percentage, or should it be a function of the monthly cash flow? I think you should consider maybe 50, 60, 70%, and then make sure it's a percentage of the monthly cash flow with a margin of safety built in for those months when it is vacant or when you have big repairs. So thank you, Tony. So thanks, folks. It's been great being with you here on BiggerPockets Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live today. I am truly honored. If you haven't signed up yet, Nashville is where it's happening this year. October 6th through 8th, BiggerPockets first annual convention. It's going to be a doozy, as they say. Please sign up for the BiggerPockets convention. Sign up for BiggerPockets Pro, and feel free to join me next week here on BiggerPockets Live. I don't know what time it'll be. Monday night, I believe we're going to have another show here from one of our BiggerPockets presenters. So check it out and hope to see you next time. Thanks again for joining. I'm going to go enjoy my wife's birthday. All right. Take care. Have a great weekend.